Hey, I'm Tavis McQuaid at Raymond James. You seem to be making the case for cooperation on driver policy. When you talk to OEMs about this, what is the conflict between having a standard driver policy versus OEMs wanting their own control over that?
Well, it's still in the embryonic stage in terms of talking with other car manufacturers about driving policy. I think it's one of those areas where you see a lot of resistance from car manufacturers to share or even to admit that they need, that they cannot handle the driving policy on their own. And I think that the two major programs that we have with BMW and also with Delphi is a good starting point to have our driving policy. And I believe that during 2017, when we'll put the driving policy not only in a simulator, but also on a car, driving in complicated areas. What we plan by end of 2017 is to drive in Jerusalem from point A to point B. You just select point A, point B, and it will drive. And it will show all the capabilities that we have in driving policy. I think we'll be in a much better position to engage with the car industry about driving policy, especially the need for joining forces and sharing data. But I admit at this point, there's a lot of resistance.
Brian Johnson, Barclays. Just want to talk about some of the competition in Silicon Valley, both some of the AI startups as well as the OEM headquartered there. What they kind of all say is they can use GPU computing platforms, do deep learning-based learning, get very quickly to where the state of the art is right now, and do it, using two things, sort of Silicon Valley software cycle times, which they would argue lets them move much faster than legacy industry, and two, at least with the OEM, beginning to harvest the road data already. Kind of, how do you see those competitions, and how do you see the race developing over the next 3 years?
I think we need to define competition. I define competition as that an actor who has received a production program for a car manufacturer. So the kinds of statements that you have said, I meet these people only at the CES. I don't meet them at the marketplace, okay? And I've been hearing this for 3 years already, right? 2015, the first time that, reputable, Silicon tech companies started making noise and still making noise, and I don't see him in the marketplace, only here at CES. So I think first we need to see those actors receiving production programs from car manufacturers, and then we can start addressing it. I think that if you look at Apple and Google, all the plans that they had a few years ago of building cars, they thought that the car industry is a collection of dummies. Now they're not building cars anymore. I think there are certain tasks that are very, very difficult to do, and people outside of the doing kind of underappreciate or downplay the difficulty of that task. Mobileye is a 17-year-old company, and we are in the position that we are in, not because we are surrounded by dummies, because we are doing something that's very, very hard to do.
Itai? Great, thank you. Just in terms of driving policy simulations, is there a potential for REM data in the future to help and augment your simulations to do better simulations than some of your competitors doing similar things?
Definitely. It's a very observant question. We plan to use REM to enhance simulator. So a simulator should contain two things. One is should contain realistic roads. And the best realistic roads is take real roads that are there. And REM can supply this, can supply the real roads to a simulator. Second, the simulator should contain agents that are moving and negotiating like humans. And this is another thing that we are building.
Okay, we can take one more. Back in the corner, please.
Yeah, hello, Lenardi Tacci. It is true that with your 360 surround view, you cover 360 degree, but I heard from last slide you still focus only on monocular camera. Are you considering stereo camera or not?
But when you have multiple cameras, there's no point in talking about stereo. You have multiple cameras. So we're focusing on monocular for driving assist, and we're focusing on multiple camera setups for supporting higher functions, which are moving us to autonomous driving. I think the battle mono stereo has been set already. Right? You don't see much stereo out there. It is mostly mono. Even the car manufacturers which were identified with stereo are also moving to mono. You see that by announcements of their suppliers that they are being ready to introduce mono in 2017 or something like that. I think the mono stereo debate is over. Right? It's now there's driving assist and there's autonomous driving. What do you need to do in autonomous driving? What kind of sensing you need to have? What kind of processing you need to do? What are the problems that you need to solve? The mono stereo debacle is over.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks Amnon. That concludes the briefing. We need to move out of the room fairly quickly.
Thank you.